Yesterday I was looking at the different game genres and was thinking what kind of genres are most appealing to me, and I picked those ones. Action RPG, story rich, survival crafting, action, adventure, farming, open world, FPS. Survival is twice here. Looter shooter, casual, and also I just deleted. This was simulation, so I think I don't want to have simulation. So this is genres what I want to put my game in, if it would be possible. I guess maybe I'll put casual on top. So casual is the most important part. Action RPG second one. Maybe I put farming here. I do not know actually. There is one more issue. I kind of always genres are a bit fuzzy, right? What does it mean, action RPG? And usually, then people think about action RPG. It's as well setting up the world, top-down view, medieval kind of vibe. But it's not what is action RPG, right? Action RPG is sort of progression. Then your stats goes up and collecting loot. So maybe looter shooter. And a lot of genres are overlapping, like adventure, open world are kind of overlapping, and I do not know. I do want to high energy combat. It's like then you're spamming, then you're dodging things, like a skill based. What's going on here? Skill based gameplay plus progression. And adventure is, in my mind, it's maybe overlapping with story reach. Yeah. I do not know.
Aspiration genres.txt.
Genres. Genres.txt. Aspirational genres.txt.
Casual. Easy to play with the burden of game complexity on the developer, not on the player. Casual. Easy to play with the burden of game complexity on the developer, not on the player. It looks simple. The game looks simple. The game looks simple, not overwhelming.
Oh, forgot to take my medicine. Wi-Fi check is not working.
Easy to play, with the burden of game complexity on the developer, not on the player. The game looks simple and not overwhelming. The character has a rich stat system, leveling up, gearing quests, XP, and vital stats, HP mana, going to the dungeons, and upgrading. Shoot mobs, collect loot. Quests and cinematics. That's hunger, thirst, temperature, stamina, energy. Collecting raw ingredients, crafting useful items. Planting, growing, harvesting, using it in crafting. High energy combat, skill-based combat. Big map, gameplay is non-linear. View from the first person.
Is that correct understanding of what aspect am I missing, or what is wrong?
Is that correct understanding of genres? What aspects am I missing, or what is wrong?
Okay, so
Easy to get back to the game after a long break. Combat in real time. Big map, gameplay is non-linear. Puzzles.
what's going on?
story-rich, it doesn't always need cinematics. Some of the richest stories are told through environmental storytelling reading notes, looking at ruins or branching dialogue trees.
Storage quest cinematics.
In-game artifacts tell the story.
Yeah.
Minimal loss of progression in case of character death.
Okay.
Procedural dungeons.
Movement mechanics. I don't think it's necessary. Inventory management. still lets me go through our AIs.
Your understanding is solid. A few notes and gaps worth flagging. What you have right. Most of your definitions are accurate and capture the core player fantasy of each genre well. The tension you're identifying, casual accessibility meets deep systems, is real and interesting to design around. Things worth refining or adding. Looter shooter. You have the core right, but the genre implies build diversity as a major pillar. The loop is shoot right arrow, loot right arrow, build a new playstyle right arrow, repeat. The excitement comes from rare drops changing how you play, not just making numbers bigger. Think Borderlands, Destiny, Path of Exile, Survival. You listed the stats correctly, but the genre also carries an implicit threat of environmental hostility. The world itself is trying to kill you weather, night cycles, hostile biomass, pairs naturally with crafting, but the soul of it is resource anxiety. Action RPG. Worth noting that ARP typically have character builds as the deepest layer of engagement. The gear and stats exist to express a build fantasy fire mage, lead assassin, tank paladin. Without meaningful build diversity, it feels thin. FPS, gunplay feel is right, but worth being precise. This means weapon feedback recoil, sound, hit confirmation, reload animations. Players feel this viscerally even if they can't articulate it. It's one of the hardest things to get right. What's missing or blurry? Roguelite elements. You mentioned procedural dungeon classic roguelite feature and minimal death penalty, but roguelites also typically involve meta progression unlocks that persist across runs. If you're mixing this in, it deserves its own design pillar. Economy/trading. Looter shooters and ARP often have an item economy selling, trading, crafting upgrades from materials. Even if casual, players will ask what do I do with junk loot? Social/multiplayer. None of your genres explicitly address whether this is solo, co-op, or multiplayer. Many of these genres have strong co-op tradition, Destiny, Valheim, etc. Tone/art direction. Not a genre, but worth naming explicitly. Plus story rich plus survival plus FPS can look wildly different depending on whether you go cozy, gritty, sci-fi, or fantasy. The biggest design tension you'll face is casual vs. survival plus action RPG. Survival games are inherently stressful by design. Making hunger/thirst/temperature feel meaningful without frustrating a casual player is a real craft challenge. Games like Subnautica and Valheim handled this reasonably well, worth studying.
Okay. I don't think Claude is looter shooter. There is some good elements in that feedback. Shoot, loot, build new play style, repeat. Excitements come from the rare drops. Okay. Looter shooter, procedural dungeon, rarity of loot rarity system.
Rarity system of loot.
Starts correctly, but there's character leveling up. HP vitals. Character growing the character. The weapon and armor and buffing artifacts.
Growing the character with a weapon and armor and buffing artifacts.
Play. Yeah, I was like, yeah, this is what I meant under gunplay. Like, I don't think I need to gunplay feel. What missing or blur? Roguelike, as you mentioned, precision, and minimal death penalty, but roguelike has the meta progression unlocks that persist across run if you maxing this in. It's mixing that in. Unlocks that persist across runs. Oh yeah, this one good call out. Item, items, economy, vendors, crafting.
Items economy, vendors, crafting, and upgrades.
Okay, so let's do what ChatGPT says to me. Oh, it's gave me 2 answers. That's great. I've got 2 for 1.
Your breakdown is actually very solid. You're thinking like a designer, not just a player. The key strength is that you're describing player experience plus systems, not just labels. That's exactly how genres should be understood. That said, a few of your definitions are slightly mixed or incomplete. Let's tighten them and point out what you're missing. What you got right in strong casual, right arrow correctly framed as low cognitive load plus easy reentry. That's more important than simple mechanics. Action RPG, right arrow good. Real-time combat plus RPG systems. Looter shooter, right arrow accurate core loop. Kill, right arrow loot, right arrow repeat, often procedural. Story rich, right arrow good focus on delivery methods, cinematics, artifacts. Crafting slash farming slash survival, right arrow nicely separated as systems. FPS, right arrow, correct emphasis on feel, very important. Or you're slightly off one. Casual is not a genre, it's more of a design philosophy slash audience targeting, not a genre. Stardew Valley, right arrow casual, and farming sim Dark Souls, right arrow not casual, but still action RPG backhand index pointing right suggestion. Treat casual vs hardcore as a spectrum, not a category. 2. Action is too vague, you wrote. High energy combat, skill-based combat. That's true. But action is not a standalone genre anymore, it's a modifier. Action RPG, action adventure, action platformer, backhand index, pointing right, better definition. Action equals real time, skill-dependent gameplay, timing, aiming, reflexes. 3. Adventure slash open world are not the same thing, you merged. Big map, non-linear gameplay. Puzzles, these are actually 3 different axes. Adventure, right arrow exploration plus puzzle plus narrative, open world, right arrow non-linear traversal. In a large continuous space, sandbox, right arrow player-driven goals, important distinction, example. The Legend of Zelda. Breath of the Wild equals open world plus adventure plus sandbox elements, backhand index point. And right, you should separate these.
ChatGPT is horrible.
4. Looter shooter is a subgenre. Not a core genre, you defined it well, but structurally. Base, shooter FPS slash TPS layer. Loot-driven progression, Diablo-like example. Borderlands 2 backhand index pointing right, think of it as shooter plus ARP loot systems.
Stop.
5. Survival is broader than stats, you wrote. Hunger, thirst, temperature, that's correct, but incomplete. Survival usually includes resource scarcity, environmental pressure, long-term playing, risk of loss, example. The long dark backhand index pointing right, core idea. Survival equals sustained resource
At
management
least
under
this
pressure.
one is a little bit resource environmental pressure.
Resources, environmental pressure. Resources, environmental pressures. Look for basic necessities: water, food, shelter, warmth.
Difference gender depends heavily on progression. Where leveling up, XP, stats. Items.
Vertical progression, leveling up XP stats. Horizontal progression, items.
I don't know. This is horrible answer. This is sucks. Let's go to that one.
Your understanding is actually very solid. You're thinking in design pillars, not just marketing labels, which is good, especially for your engine-free art project. Let's refine and tighten each one. Video game casual, easy to play. Complexity burden on the developer, not the player. Heavy check mark, correct core idea. But define casual more precisely. Low cognitive load, short session friendly, simple input scheme, fast re-engagement. After a break, low punishment for failure, gradual onboarding you're right about. Not overwhelming UI, easy return after long break, minimal progression loss, what you're missing. Clear goals at all times, strong feedback, loops, juicy feedback, forgiving mechanics casual. It's more about friction reduction than simplicity of systems. Cross-action RPG rich stats, leveling, gear, quests, real-time combat. Heavy checkmark, mostly correct. Action RPG specifically means real-time combat, not turn-based character progression, stat plus gear skill expression, plus builds what you're missing, build diversity talent trees, modifiers combat paying cooldowns, resource loops power fantasy curve gambles. Diablo 4 Path of Exile, ARP is about progression plus real-time combat, not just stats. Pistol looter shooter shoot mobs. Collect loot, procedural dungeons. Mostly correct. Mission. FPS or TPS combat gear-based progression randomized loot rolls. Combat right arrow, loot right arrow build improvement. Loop missing aspects. Loot rarity tiers, item affixes / RNG stats build synergy through weapons and game grind loop examples. Borderlands 3 Destiny 2 procedural dungeons are optional, not required.
Loot rarity tiers. Oh yeah, I added it later. Item affixes, weapons, and game grind loop. Hidden dungeons are optional, not required. I don't know. I think it is mandatory. It's like without procedural dungeons, you cannot make the looter shooter. Yeah, I don't know. Story rich, quest, cinematic, artifact, strong narrative focus, character arc, meaningful dialogue.
Open book story rich quests. Cinematics, artifacts tell story. Heavy check mark correct. Story rich usually means strong narrative focus, character arcs, meaningful dialogue, lore depth, environmental storytelling missing. Player choice impact, emotional pacing, narrative consequences examples. The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt Disco, Elysium story rich means narrative is a primary driver, not a side feature.
Man, ChatGPT is lately is very bad.
Mod or survival hunger, thirst, temperature, stamina, energy. Heavy check mark, mechanically correct. What survival is about. Resource scarcity, risk management, environmental threat, long-term sustainability, missing. Permadath, sometimes base building, weather system, craft dependency, loop examples. Rust the long dark survival is not just extra stats, it's pressure mechanics.
Weather system. I don't know. Weather system maybe.
Hammer crafting, collect ingredients. Craft useful items. Correct but minimal. Crafting systems vary by recipe-based vs discovery-based deterministic vs RNG output upgrade trees vs combinatorial crafting. Missing. Craft economy balance craft vs loot tension material rarity scaling crafting is a progression alternative path.
I don't know, like ChatGPT. Enemy telegraphs. I like this. Um, both horrible, but there is some good outcome at least.
Your understanding is quite solid overall. You've captured the core pillars of each genre well. Let me refine and expand on a few areas where the definition could be sharper, or where there are notable nuances. Correct, but worth noting, casual often implies short session lengths 5-15 min and low skill floor. The minimal loss on death you mentioned is more specifically a roguelite/roguelike mechanic. Casual games often have no death penalty at all, infinite lives, checkpoint systems. Good foundation. What's missing? Build diversity/synergy skills, talents, passive trees, and often loot rarity tiers. Common right arrow legendary. Also, ARC usually feature ability spam/rotation rather than just combat in real time.
Skills, talents, passive trees, and loot rarity tiers. Common legendary. I don't know.
Accurate. Key addition. Co-op multiplayer focus Borderlands, Destiny, Warframe. Also power levels/gear score driving progression, more than raw XP. Correct. Nuance. This often overlaps with walking simulators Firewatch, Dear Esther where gameplay is minimal. Also include branching narratives/meaningful choices BioWare style. Temperature is sometimes excluded in simpler survival game Minecraft, uneasy/normal. Add base building/shelter as a core loop, and resource scarcity creating tension. Good. Missing. Recipe discovery/unlocking and crafting tiers, basic workbench right arrow industrial forge. Often tied to progression gates, need X to craft Y to reach Z. Accurate. Often includes season/weather effects, crop quality tiers, animal husbandry, and economy/selling produce Stardew Valley shipping box. This is extremely broad, almost a modifier rather than genre. Your definition fits character action devil, May Cry, Bayonetta, or Spectacle fighters. Action alone could mean anything from platformers to shooters. Good. Clarify. Open world specifically means seamless traversal without loading screen between zones with discovery/exploration rewards. Adventure traditionally implies puzzle solving plus narrative Zelda, Uncharted without necessarily being open. Big map/no loading screen. Gameplay is non-linear. Puzzles. Big map/no loading screens. Gameplay is non-linear. Puzzles. Correct. Weapon variety/arsenal. Aim down sight mechanics. And often competitive multiplayer or sports angle or tactical/team play elements. Rainbow Six Siege vs. Quake. That's a really solid understanding of the individual genres. You've correctly identified the core pillars of each one. The main issue isn't that you're wrong, but that you're looking at them as separate checkboxes rather than seeing how they must blend together to form a cohesive game. Your list describes a highly ambitious, multi-genre hybrid game. Let's break down what's right, what might be missing, and what the real challenge is, making them all work together without the game collapsing under its own weight. What's right? You've nailed the core concepts. Your descriptions for each genre are accurate and hit the key points. Casual, low player burden, easy to pause / return, forgiving death. Action RPG, stats leveling, loot, dungeons, real-time combat. Looter shooter, core loop of shoot, loot, upgrade. Story rich, narrative delivered through quests, cinematics, and environmental storytelling artifacts. Survival, eclectic resource management, trinity hunger, thirst, temp, crafting, gathering and creating. Farming, planting, growing, harvesting. Action, skill-based, high-energy combat. Adventure / open world, non-linear exploration and puzzles. FPS, first-person perspective and satisfying gunplay. So, your understanding is correct. The problem is one of feasibility and design philosophy. You're essentially describing a game that is all things to all people, which is incredibly difficult to pull off. What's missing or needs clarification? The crucial overlaps and conflicts, here's where you need to think deeper about how these genres interact. The real missing aspects are the design decisions that happen when two genres make conflicting demands. 1. The casual vs. survival and action conflict. This is the biggest one. It is the most significant tension in your list. You said casual, minimal loss of progression in case of character death. You said survival, stats, hunger, thirst, temperature, stamina, energy. These two ideas are almost directly opposed. In most survival games, death is the primary loss of progression. You might drop all your items, respawn in base with nothing, and have to trek back to your grave. The threat of loss is what makes the survival mechanics meaningful. If you remove the threat, why would a player care about eating or staying warm? The tension's gone. You need to decide how to handle this. Possible solution, a grave run system. On death, you drop your loot but can retrieve it. You lose a small amount of XP or currency, but not your gear. This softened the blow while maintaining consequence. It's a middle ground between hardcore survival and pure casual. 2. Looter shooter / action RPG vs. survival and crafting loop. Looter shooter / action RPG loop. Kill any, get new gun, equip new gun, kills stronger enemies. The loot is the primary reward and progression. Survival / crafting loop. Gather wood / stonecraft axe, gather better wood, build base / craft bullets. The player-made items are the primary reward. If you have both, you risk creating a redundant loop. Why would I spend 10 minutes crafting a pistol if the game will just drop a better one from the next enemy I kill? You need to decide how they feed into each other. Possible solution, make crafting the foundation and loot the specialization. For example, you must craft your base, your workbenches, and your ammunition. Loot drops are the weapon modifications, unique gun recipes, or rare materials you need to craft the truly powerful gear. You find a legendary Inferno Grip mod in a dungeon, and you then craft it onto your base pistol at your workbench. 3. The story-rich vs. procedural dungeons and open-world conflict. Story-rich often relies on carefully crafted, curated spaces to deliver narrative. A specific NPC in a specific house, a scripted event in a specific alley. Procedural dungeons are, by definition, not carefully curated. They are randomly assembled. Having both is possible, but they need to be kept separate in the design. Possible solution, use a hybrid world. The open world is handcrafted. It is where all the towns, NPC, quest givers, and story cinematics live. It's a fixed, reliable space for narrative. The dungeons or rifts, instances are procedurally generated. You go there for combat and looting, but the main story beats happen in the crafted world.
I'm not going to read it, everything. It's complete nonsense. I'm going to make them checkboxes.
The player can make a progression after 15 minutes of gameplay.
Player makes a progression after every 15 minutes of gameplay. Makes any sort of progression after.
The player makes any sort of progress after every 15 minutes of gameplay.
Character has reached that system. Dungeons. Operating gear. Combat in real time. Resources, environmental pressure.
Day/night cycle.
Trading, I guess.
Aspiration genres.
So let me rename it to MD. What just happened?
World building elements.
I don't know. Okay, let's go back to programming. So I want to implement items model selection. And so let's look at the current state. And I can add anything. I don't know. Sing Gardens residential district. Alright, so I added it. So there is a residential district, and this is sort of apartment complex, I guess. I think I maybe like add them multiple. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's coming from the cube. That's interesting. Yeah. Anyways. So I want to be able to click on that, and it would have the outline and say, like, just to indicate that object is selected, right? And then I can do different things on the selected object, like move, scale, rotate, and so on. So let me take the break. So while I was taking break, I was thinking, can I reuse Bloom Pass? But anyways, I think I should make it properly. So think I was writing it somewhere. Yeah, outline. Outline shader, and that one outline shader would require stencil buffer.
Stencil buffer.
And I might be update combine buffer. Make the selected object to put once in the stencil buffer.
Make the selected object put 1 in the stencil buffer. Make the selected object put 1s in the stencil buffer.
Add stencil buffer to the G buffer.
Add the stencil buffer to the G buffer.
So these steps I need to make. Some of the OBS browser pages, wondering why. Yeah, OBS is just busy. It's like why this one is as well, Xorg. Not sure. Yeah, GPUs. So it shows the memory usage. Anyways, let's do programming. Render.cpp and approach view combine. So let me remember how things are working. Right, so there is a G buffer. There is a combine pass at the end. And G buffer, I guess it's like here, and there is I don't remember. It's like there is a geom pass. Okay, so there is a geom pass. There is a combine pass, and there is a light, bloom, and UI. Pass, bloom pass, and a UI. So there is a G buffer. G buffer has 5 attachments. Huh? Has 5 attachments, base color, metallic roughness. I need to move everything. normals. Emission. Depth. I want to scale everything a bit. So, let's look at the light pass makes the light buffer. There is a bloom buffer, of course. And what's going on during the UI pass? Our UI pass goes directly on top. It goes just after combine pass. So this is a screen buffer, screen buffer. So I know bloom buffer needs emission, so it goes directly here. I guess for better drawing, I don't know. Should I put in the middle maybe? So it goes to bloom pass and produce bloom buffer. So there is a light pass which as well produce light buffer, And light pass needs roughness, normals, depth buffer. Does not need the base color. Normals, yeah, so it takes these 3 samples. And combine pass, deferred base color, light buffer, depth, emission, and normals. What needs normals? Oh, for yeah. So this one is going to be combine pass plus SSAO. So what combine takes? It takes that one, light buffer, depth buffer, emission buffer, probably make it closer. And it takes depth buffer, it's called emission buffer, but it's actually bloom buffer. It goes to screen buffer, to UI pass, and from UI pass to screen buffer. So here we go. This is the pipeline. Control X. I guess for I'll just do like a geom pass, and it will generate all that stuff, right? Oh, what? Uh, Is it considered to be a vertex? No. Oh wait, emission does not go to combine pass. This one is not going to combine pass. Right, combine pass takes 4. Ah. Oh, there is a normals. Normals do go, okay. Let's get the space for normals. I'm thinking I can combine bloom pass into the. I can put bloom pass into the combine pass. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely can put bloom into combine. I don't think it's will make a big difference. Maybe it will. But yeah, I can probably add like a to-do. Somewhere in the render. What?
Combine the bloom pass with the combine pass.
Oh. I'm wondering how I can compress it. I guess I can do at least this one. Maybe I can do it like this. So we definitely need arrow here. So probably for clarity I should put dots. So what I want to add is stencil buffer, right? Mm, did I spell it right? Stencil. There is a two letters are incorrect. Stencil buffer. Mm, and I think it will go directly to combine. Okay, going to take the break. Stencil buffer. Okay. Mm. What the heck is... Oh my god. Variable names are atrocious. Anyways, base metallic roughness. Oh, this is the input textures. T-base emission depth. Okay, so this is the output textures. What? Where is it? Oh, okay. Base metallic, normal emission depth stencil. Base metallic, normal emission depth stencil. I guess I should probably swap depth and stencil. I know. Depth. What is the frame buffer? So maybe I'll do it like this. So bump it to 6. What? Mm. T-bloom buffer will be initialized after field bloom buffer. Uh, mm, Example 15. Create texture 2D. What the heck? What? What always stuff? Render states. Where is the texture? Huh. So apparently I don't need to. Mm, frame buffer. Apply render state. Hmm. Okay. It's not a combine, it's geom pass, right? Geom pass fragment shader. Zero, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and here fragment shader. Stencil color block. I do not understand. I don't think I need stencil test, right? That's I don't think I need stencil for what I need. How to implement outline effect? To indicate the object is highlighted or selected with shaders.
Implement an outline effect to indicate that the object is highlighted or selected using shaders.
Inverted hull method, old school way, is most common technique for stylized game. By rendering the object twice. Render the object normally, render slightly larger object, but flipped inside down. How it works? Push the vertices along the normal. With hide the front faces, back faces with fragment shader. Analyze the depth buffer or the normal buffer of the rendered frame. Distance around between two neighboring pixels. That's an edge. I saw the technique with the stencil buffer, but I am questioning if I need stencil buffer.
I saw the technique with the stencil buffer, but I'm questioning if I need a stencil buffer at all.
I saw the technique with the stencil buffer. using BGFX. How to create the buffer and
I'm using deferred rendering with BGFX. How do I create the stencil buffer and attach it to the G buffer? I'm creating the depth buffer like this.
okay, so it should be updated like this. So there is no this thing. It should be say plus stencil delete. I guess it will go to the light pass as well, even we do not need it. So update text format, def stencil buffer text format. Okay, so this goes here. Boo, 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 boo. No member name D32FS8. BGFX texture format. Hmm. Texture format. Okay. So it's just that one. No stencil available. So we need stencil anyways. Text VMT. So that one, just that. So this deleted. buffer size is not increased. Huh? Why you... is initialized and used here? It should be like this. Yep. So what we need to do, multi-parse workflow. Step 1, gbuffer. Masking stencil state. This state always passes. Set stencil. Set stencil to right. I don't know, like, what is the reason to write 2 lines? It does not make any, like, there isn't, it does not make readable, it does not improve performance, it's just a noise. Outline path drawing. Set view clear, depth stencil, BGFX clear depth. GFX clear depth. GFX clear stencil. Geom pass setup.
Geom pass setup. Light pass setup.
Set view clear, clear color, depth stencil. Like, why this thing clear to 0? It's obvious there is a 0 here. Set view clear. It's actually no. Okay. Okay, attach to the G buffer. Implement for flow in BGFX. Draw the outline. Give me sample GLSL fragment shader to populate stencil, to populate and read from stencil map.
Give me a sample GLSL fragment shader to populate and read from the stencil buffer.
Part of fix function pop line. The fragment shader simply output a color and GPU hardware decide whether to discard this pixel or write a value to stencil buffer based on the however, you still need 2 shaders to make the effect work. It is tough. G buffer. Okay. Okay, so it's being populated automatically, which is good good to know. So Strategy buffers would all be normal. Since writing happens automatically because your stencil. Yeah, stencil opacity replace setting this in.
What value goes to the stencil buffer?
Ref value, stencil state. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take the break. Anyways, I'm going to take the break, and I'll back in 1 hour. I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours. But we'll have a lunch and rest a bit. So see you later. Bye.